How's it going, Internet Lands? This is Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers review. Today I'm reviewing the Leader Class Shockwave. Wait, Leader Class? Leader Class? Okay, he's technically Leader Class, but like at the same time, not really. So just like all the Generations figures have got this like gimmick thing that makes them going. For Transformers Siege, the gimmick is that the Leader Class figures is actually a Voyager Class figure, but with a crap load of accessories and armor and weapons. So there you have it, which I don't think is a terrible idea at all. I mean, look at that. The scale between these guys. I mean, Megatron's still a little bit taller than Shockwave. I think this is a really, really good scale. I think that's actually really great. Like, it would be kind of silly if, Megatron turns out to be a Voyager and Shockwave turns out to be like a huge freaking Leader Class figure, like this tall. And then you'd be like, hey, little Megatron, how's it going? But this figure looks really good. I enjoy it quite a lot. Like, it is super G1. Like, super G1 looking. He's got a lot of really, really interesting like surface detail on them, like all over. Like, this is, in terms of surface detail, probably the busiest figure, but because none of it's really picked out, it's not like super noisy looking, But gosh, he just looks great. But he's got, I don't know. I'll get into his stuff. I mentioned paint apps. He's got like some good tempo printing here. The Decepticon symbols on his forearms. Not a whole lot of other paint apps. Like, he really doesn't have much of. He's got some silver here, silver on his feet. He really doesn't have a lot of the battle damage paint apps that you find on a lot of these Siege figures. So take that as you will. One thing I will say that is not a paint app. This eye is actually really cool. I'm not the biggest fan of light piping these days. Like, when I was a kid, I thought it was like the coolest thing. But the light piping on this is really, really, really done well. Because for so many light piped figures, it just always ends up being dark, and you're like, oh yeah, he could look cool if he had light in his eyes, but he doesn't. So he just ends up looking like dead. But this one is like highly, highly good at like piping that light. Maybe because it's such a light colored plastic that goes into it. Maybe because of it's such a simple shape that's being put out. I don't know. But this isn't even under direct light. Like, if I was to move him under direct light, like, it would just become like blinding. Like, this is better than installing an LED in the head. The biggest difference you'll find between one of these Leader Class Siege figures and an actual Voyager Class figure is he's got a lot of ratchet joints. Ratchets on the hips, ratchets on the knees. Which you don't get on the Voyager ones. So let's get down to accessories. In terms of accessories, he comes with this. And right now it's configured as some sort of like a drone thing. You can like stand him on it. Kind of. He doesn't stand on it super well because it doesn't really have enough space for his feet. But he can fly around on this, kind of like how, I don't really like the way that looks. He can fly on this kind of like how Shockwave did in Transformers Dark of the Moon. Now it's stuck on there. Jeez. There we go. So, I mean, that's something that you can do if you really feel like it. Another thing, so of course all the Siege figures have got all these ports all over it. Basically, the Leader Class figures comes with a set of armor and weapons that you can install all over the figure. So we're going to just disassemble this, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So we'll stick this on that foot, and we'll stick this on that foot, and we'll extend this out and put this on that shoulder. There's a peg right in here. And put this on the other shoulder. And then we can take this and kind of like stick it onto his back. Like I want to attach it with this peg here, like onto this hole here, but it doesn't really work out that way. I don't know, maybe, no, you really can't. So we'll just attach this on. There's pegs and holes right here. Fold that down. Fold these in. And that's just the way I've been doing it. And so now he's this four-armed monstrosity. It does add quite a bit of bulk to him, but I mean, it doesn't, because these foot things are only that thick, it doesn't add a lot of height to him. So a lot of people may still feel like this isn't quite supposed to be a leader class figure. But I mean, in terms of part count and complexity and weight is the is one of the big deciding factors. Like, this has all the mass of a leader class figure because of all these extra accessories. Then yeah, I mean, he works. He works. I think it's better to have. I think it's better to have Shockwave like this than try to make him some like super tall compared to the other figures. I mean, I'm not the biggest proponent of scale, but I do enjoy a well-made scale when that's what they're doing with it. So let's get into articulation. Let me pull all of this crap off of him, and we'll just stick it all aside. Like so. So in terms of articulation, his head is on a ball joint. It goes around, it looks around just fine. Any way you want it to go, that's the way you got it. His arm will go around. It's on this universal joint here like this. Of course, this arm is slightly hampered by the hose. This hose feels like the connection might be a little iffy here at the very end. But I mean, it's got a 5mm peg. You can peg it in on the outside of his arm. You can peg it in on the underside of the arm, which is my preferred place for it. You can peg it into his shoulder if you want. You can peg it into the backpack if you want. The cable does not come detached. It's anchored inside his body somewhere. And so that's not a thing you can do. So he does have a wrist swivel. He actually has a wrist swivel on both wrists, even though this one's just a gun and it looks more or less the same from each side. He has a waist swivel that is completely unimpeded by the backpack or whatnot. His hips go forward that much. His hips go backwards that much. There you got full Van Damme. You've got a cut right here for a thigh swivel. About 90 degrees of bend on the knee. No forward backward movement on this foot. This foot is all one piece of plastic, which I kind of wish that it wasn't. I kind of wish that it folded up, but I'll show you that when we get him into his spaceship mode. But he does have some ankle tilt, which is good for when you've got the big, wider, flatter feet attachments on. Oh, I forgot to mention on his elbow, or on his shoulder, he's got a joint here. He also has a joint here, so he can like reach way up. So he can be like, yeah. Do his John Travolta something impersonation thing. But yeah, that's Shockwave in a nutshell so far. Let's get him transformed up. First, let's work on the base figure to get him ready to accept all the parts. So what we're going to do is we're going to crack open his chest like so. His head comes with that. You're just going to fold that in and then close it back up. Hello. You're going to pull this out, and then this opens all up. Like so, and like so. And you're going to move this over to the front like that. You're going to put his arms up. Like so. Disconnect that peg. And then this is going to come in, and it's going to kind of attach onto both of these arms, and then fold around and close them up. And then you're going to take, let's open up his legs. There's this panel right here that opens up. And you're going to open that up, and then his waist swivels around. You're going to fold these in combiner wear style. Oh, whoops. Not bad. You want to rotate them and then fold them in combiner wear style. And I didn't want to rotate the waist. I'm sorry. I'm borrowing this figure from a buddy of mine, and I'm not super familiar with it. I transformed it once under his supervision. So we're going to tab these together. This is going to make the control console of his spaceship mode, which, by the way, has got its own little piece of light piping on here, which is kind of clever. Then we're going to stick this down and holy oh gosh, it turned into a gun. Oh man, that's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to turn into a spaceship, but that looks a lot like a gun to me. Oh man, jeez. Okay, let's make sure that nobody thinks that this is a gun at all. So we're going to take and we're going to attach this onto the front of the, now let me get into this real quick. So I think it's awesome actually that he does have, of course, Hasbro can't call this a gun. I don't know why Hasbro can release, Nerf guns and Star Wars guns and G.I. Joe guns and all sorts of other guns. You just stick an orange barrel on it or whatnot, and it works out. But when it comes to releasing a transformer that turns into a gun, they're like, no, we have to call it a submarine or a spaceship or something else. But, I mean, by the time you get this all set up, it really does look like a spaceship. It really doesn't look like a gun. But this is clearly the G1 alt mode right here, and I think that is clever, like super clever. I really enjoy that. Again, I do wish that his, the back of him folded up a little bit better. I mean, this is not a big handle on here, so you can like grab it with like one finger. But it's just kind of a fun thing that they threw in there, and I like that. I like fun things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this folded out. This is going to peg together pretty much just like it did in the other mode, where you've got this tab here. There's also a tab and a slot here. Peg that in, peg that in. Come on, go home. There we go. These are gonna come together. There's a tab that keeps that together. You can take this, you can fold out, there's a little wing in here. And this whole spaceship mode is, I mean, it's kind of like Legos. You've got all these parts, and there's, you know, tabs and alignment pegs, such that, you know, you can do a lot of things with it. You know, you can have it in a lot of different positions. And so really it comes down to personal preference for a lot of these things. I think that one of the more intended ones here, you've got a peg and a slot here, and a peg and a slot here, that aligns that right there like that. And then you've got, you can plug these in right here like this. And then he's got like little fins that come out of the control tower. And there he is. He looks very spaceshipy and not very gun-y. And it's actually a really cool looking spaceship. Like, you know, I'm not sure that Shockwave, I don't know, it's like the idea of Shockwave turning into like a full-size spaceship that a Transformer could command is kind of ridiculous. But like, if Shockwave designed a spaceship after himself, I don't know, he doesn't really strike, I don't know if he's the egotistical type to design a spaceship to look like himself. But I don't know, it's a cool looking spaceship. It's got, you know, big clear part up here, all the little greebles and details. The hose even goes through well. I mean, there are other places where you can plug this hose. Here maybe, or here. But I think that right here on the con tower is the way to go, in my humble but correct opinion. Big guns on it, little guns on it. These things on the feet look like missile launchers. Little turdy guns here, and this thing is probably some sort of like big cannon on the front. It just looks cool, and it's got, I mean, light piping in the ship mode. Like, that's fun. It's a fun ship. It's a fun Transformer. I really like this. This is a good one. I mean, as it stands, I'm currently more interested in Ultra Magnus. But I like this guy. I may pick one of these up as well when I see him. Oh, I forgot to mention, he has landing gear as well. Oh, come on. Don't make a liar of me. There's a little gear that comes out. And it's just like a little skid. But it comes out and then it kind of rests on here and back here and maybe on the toes a bit. Yeah, landing gear. And this is what he looks like without landing gear. Gosh, basically the same. So, but he's got it, so, you know, rejoice. But, you know, thanks everybody for watching. Go ahead and leave a comment, share and subscribe. Hit that like button down there, not the unlike button. I mean, unless you really, really unlike it, in which case, be honest with me. But go ahead and I'll see you around, guys. You guys are awesome, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.